she yelled. "I don't need a man to complete me." I replied, "That's a powerful mindset." Then I withdrew all my support. She was furious when she realized how much I was completing her monthly budget. I, 28 male, have been with Marissa, 26, for 3 years. We moved in together about 18 months ago into a nice 2-bedroom apartment downtown. She's pursuing her dream of becoming a professional artist while working part-time at a boutique gallery, mostly for the connections, since it pays barely above minimum wage. Here's the financial breakdown that becomes important later. I work in software development, making about $85K annually. Marissa makes roughly $18K from the gallery. When we moved in together, we agreed I'd cover rent, $2,200, utilities, $300, and groceries, $600, while she focused on building her art career. She covered her personal expenses, or so I thought. Everything was fine until last Tuesday. We were having dinner when she started complaining about her friend Natasha getting engaged. Not in a happy way, but in this bitter tone about how women lose themselves in relationships and how Natasha was giving up her identity for a man. I tried to stay neutral, just nodding along. Then she turned to me and said, "I'm so glad I'm not like that. I don't need a man to complete me or define who I am." Cool, I thought. Good for her. But then she kept going. "Actually, I've been thinking, this whole living situation feels too traditional, like I'm some kept woman. It's affecting my art. I need to feel truly independent to create authentic work." I asked what she meant. She launched into this whole speech about how our dynamic was toxic, how she felt like she was performing girlfriend duties in exchange for housing, and how it was basically patriarchal prostitution. Her words, not mine. I sat there genuinely stunned. I asked if she was unhappy with our relationship. "God, you're not listening," she yelled. "I don't need a man to complete me. I'm a whole person on my own. I shouldn't have to explain my independence to you." I took a breath. "That's a powerful mindset," I said calmly. "I respect your need for independence." She seemed satisfied with that response, went right back to eating, talking about her next art project. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what she'd said. If she felt our arrangement was so toxic, if she needed independence, well, actions speak louder than words, right? The next morning, after she left for work, I made some calls. First, I contacted our landlord. Explained that I'd be maintaining the apartment solo and needed to remove someone from the lease. Since only my name was on it anyway, she'd had credit issues, it was just a formality. Second, I canceled the supplementary card I'd given her for emergencies that she'd been using for art supplies, Uber rides, and coffee runs. Her name, but my account. Third, I changed the grocery delivery account password. Same with the streaming services. Fourth, I texted her, "Hey, respecting your need for independence, made some changes to help you feel less like you're in a traditional situation. Let me know if you need help setting up your own accounts for things. Happy to provide reference letters for apartment hunting." I included screenshots of the cancellation confirmations. Her response came 40 minutes later, and boy, was it something. Update 1, the texts started friendly enough. "Haha, very funny, babe, you made your point." When I didn't respond, they escalated. "Seriously though, I need to get groceries after work." Then, "My card got declined at lunch. This isn't cute anymore." By evening, "What did you do? The streaming services aren't working." I responded once, "You said you didn't need a man to complete you. I'm respecting that. I'll have your belongings packed by Sunday so you can move them to your new place." She came home like a hurricane, slammed the door so hard the frame shook. "What the hell is this?" She waved her phone at me. "Independence," I said, not looking up from my laptop. "Like you wanted." "I didn't mean. I was just venting. You know I can't afford my own place." "That sounds like you need someone to complete your financial situation," I said, "but you were very clear that arrangement was toxic." She called me every name in the book, said I was being manipulative, abusive, controlling. I stayed calm, kept working. "Where am I supposed to go?" she demanded. "I assume you'll figure that out. You're a whole person on your own, remember?" She stormed into the bedroom, what used to be our bedroom. I heard drawers slamming, things being thrown around. Whatever. I'd already moved my important stuff to the spare room. 20 minutes later, she came back out, tears streaming. Different approach. "Baby, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. You know I love you. We can work through this. There's nothing to work through, I said. You expressed your needs. I'm honoring them. I've given you 5 days to find alternative accommodation. 5 days? That's illegal. You can't just evict me. You're not on the lease, I reminded her. You're a guest who's been asked to leave. But hey, I'm sure someone as independent as you has plenty of options. She threw a coaster at me. Missed. Then grabbed her purse and stormed out, yelling something about staying with her friend Desiree. That was 2 days ago. Since then, my phone has been blowing up. But not just from her. Update 2. So Marissa's been staying with different friends and apparently wearing out her welcome fast. Desiree lasted 2 nights before Marissa's artistic process. Read, staying up until 4 a.m. playing music and painting became too much. But here's where it gets interesting. Remember how I thought she was covering her personal expenses? Turns out I was subsidizing way more than I realized. Her mom called me yesterday. Not to yell, to panic. Ethan, what's happening? Marissa says you kicked her out and now she's asking me for $1,800. $1,800? I was confused. For what? She says she owes money to various people and places. Something about payment plans? She's been crying, saying you financially abused her. I laughed. Actually laughed. Patricia, did she mention why I asked her to leave? Silence. Then, she said you had a fight. I explained the whole thing. The patriarchal prostitution comment, the independent speech, all of it. Patricia sighed so deeply I could feel it through the phone. That girl? I told her to appreciate what she had. Do you know how many times her father and I have bailed her out? Turns out quite a few. And here's the kicker. Marissa had been telling her parents we were splitting everything 50-50. They thought she was paying half the rent, half the bills, everything. She'd been taking money from them monthly for her share of expenses and spending it on, well, not expenses. She what? Patricia was furious. We've been sending her $900 a month. I did the math. Gallery job, $1,500 a month. Parents, $900 a month. That's $2,400 she had coming in with zero expenses, except whatever personal stuff she bought. Where was it going? Patricia didn't know either, but she was done. She's on her own this time. Maybe she'll finally learn. Meanwhile, Marissa's texts had evolved from anger to bargaining to straight manipulation. I'll die without you. I'm nothing without your support. Please, I see now how much you complete me. The irony wasn't lost on me. 2 weeks ago, she didn't need a man. Now I was essential to her survival? But the real entertainment came from her social media. Oh boy. First, she posted about escaping an abusive situation and needing donations for her fresh start. She raised $200 before people started asking questions in the comments. When someone asked what kind of abuse, she wrote this vague post about financial manipulation and controlling behavior. Her friend Desiree actually commented, "Girl, didn't you just say last week you wanted to be independent?" The post got deleted real quick. Then came the art sale. She announced she was selling all her pieces at desperate prices because her toxic ex left her with nothing. Problem was, she'd been telling everyone for months that her art was worth thousands. Now she was trying to sell paintings for $50 to $100. No takers. Best part? She tried to come collect more of her stuff while I was at work. Building security called me. "Sir, there's a woman here claiming she lives in your unit, but she's not on the approved list." That's my ex-girlfriend. She doesn't live here anymore. They turned her away. She made a scene. Security had to threaten to call the police. I got to watch it all on the building app's security feed. She kicked the lobby door on her way out. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Marissa's best friend, Kendra. "You need to take her back," she said without preamble. "She's driving everyone crazy. She won't stop talking about you. She's not showering. She's trying to sell her paintings to strangers at coffee shops." "That's not my problem," I said. "You made it everyone's problem when you kicked her out." "I didn't kick her out. I stopped subsidizing her lifestyle after she said it was toxic. She's free to get her own place anytime." With what money? The same money she would have had if she'd never met me. The money any independent adult uses from their job. Kendra hung up on me. But the real bombshell came yesterday. Final update. So remember how I wondered where Marissa's $2,400 month was going? Well, the universe provided answers in the most ridiculous way possible. Her gallery coworker, Marcus, reached out. Turns out he follows me on Instagram. I post coding stuff sometimes. Saw I was single and wanted to give me a heads up about some things. Over coffee, Marcus spilled everything. First, Marissa had been fired from the gallery 3 weeks ago, before our fight. She'd been borrowing from the cash register to fund her installations, aka elaborate photo shoots for her Instagram art page. Almost $3,000 over 2 months. We didn't press charges because the owner felt bad for her, Marcus said. She cried, said she was an addict, a shopping addict. A what now? Apparently, Marissa had a serious online shopping problem. Designer art supplies she never used, expensive canvases still wrapped in plastic, professional cameras and lighting equipment gathering dust. She had a storage unit I didn't know about filled with thousands of dollars of materials for future projects. She showed me the unit once, Marcus said. It looked like an art store exploded. Tagged items everywhere, never opened. But wait, it gets better. Remember the $900 a month from her parents? That was supposedly for her half of our rent. The $1,500 from the gallery job that ended 3 weeks ago? She'd been pretending to go to work every day since then. And the $1,800 she asked her mom for? Not for debts. For a deposit on a studio apartment she was rejected for due to her credit score and lack of income. The timeline hit me. She got fired, knew the money would run out, picked a fight about independence, hoping I'd beg her to stay, and when I called her bluff instead, her whole house of cards collapsed. Marcus wasn't done. Oh, and that boyfriend she had before you? He's been commenting on all her posts. They've been texting. I checked her social media. Sure enough, there was Dimitri, her ex from 4 years ago, hearting every post and commenting things like, "You deserve better, queen," and "Real men appreciate artists." Cool. Have fun with that, Dimitri. The last straw came 3 days ago. I got a formal email from a lawyer. Marissa was threatening to sue me for unlawful eviction and emotional distress. I forwarded it to my buddy who's a lawyer. He laughed for 5 solid minutes on the phone. She has no case. She wasn't a tenant. She's got no lease, no proof of residency except some mail. And emotional distress? After calling your arrangement patriarchal prostitution? Please. He sent a response letter that basically said, "Lol no," in legal terms. Yesterday, I ran into Marissa at a coffee shop. She was with Dimitri, trying to sell a painting to some poor couple. Her hair was unwashed, she looked exhausted, and she was wearing the same dress I'd seen her in on Instagram 3 days ago. She saw me, and her whole face changed. Started to walk over. Dimitri grabbed her arm, whispered something. She yanked away and marched up to me anyway. "Enjoy your independence?" I asked before she could speak. Her face crumpled. "Please, I'm sorry. I'll do anything. I'll clean, I'll cook, You'll do what any adult does," I interrupted. "Figure it out." "I'm homeless. You're couch surfing, there's a difference. And hey, Dimitri's right there. I'm sure he'd love to complete you." She glanced back at Dimitri, who was suddenly very interested in his phone. "He lives with his mom," she said quietly. "Sounds like a you problem." I left with my coffee. She didn't follow. Last I heard from Patricia, Marissa had finally agreed to move back home with them, but only after they set strict conditions. No money, just room and board. She has to get a real job, pay back what she stole from the gallery, and go to therapy for her shopping addiction. The storage unit got auctioned off when she couldn't pay. Someone got thousands of dollars of unused art supplies for $200. Dimitri ghosted her when he found out she was actually broke. Her Instagram art page has been dormant for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, I'm living my best life. Converted her art studio back into a gaming room. Started dating a software engineer who splits the check without making it a feminist statement. Learned to cook instead of ordering takeout every night. Turns out I was spending about $4 a month on our combined lifestyle. Now I'm saving most of that. Funny how "I don't need a man to complete me" turned into "Please take me back, I'm nothing without you" in exactly 14 days. Almost like actions have consequences or something. Independence is expensive when you actually have to pay for it yourself. Edit. Since some of you asked, yes, I knew the relationship was probably doomed when she started the independence rant. But I'd rather find out someone's true character when they face consequences than waste more years on someone who only loved what I provided, not who I was. Better to lose a girlfriend than gain a wife who thinks your support is toxic until the bills come due.